Welcome to Gold Derby. I'm senior editor Denton Davidson here with the artist formerly known as Seal on The Masked Singer, Corey Feldman. Corey, I'm geeking out a little bit because I grew up with you. You look like you were having so much fun up there as
Oh,
Seal.
thank
Tell me
you.
about the experience.
Well, I did have fun as Seal. It's always fun as an actor coming out as an alter identity where you're fully immersed in it. You're fully engaged with this alter identity, and you get to actually play into the character. I mean, like the great banter that was improvised on the stage there was all actually improvised between me and the host. It's not like you know what you're going to say or what they're going to say or anything like that. So it keeps you on your toes, so to speak, on your fins. Um, but it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun, and I think the best part for me, as you could clearly see, was when they took the mask off and I was able to breathe again. I was like, yes, relief, fresh air.
I mean,
It is a bit claustrophobic under there for a guy who's got claustrophobia like me.
but for someone who's been in the public eye forever, that had to be fun to be masked. And a lot of people started to kind of figure out it was you. I mean, I don't think you were too surprised when Jenny guessed your name, but what was it like to be sort of anonymous and just get to be sort of wild and crazy and sing songs like Wilson Phillips? I mean, you're a musician, but I'm guessing you don't cover Wilson Phillips a lot.
Never covered Wilson Phillips. That's true. No, but you know what? The lucky part for me is that I did actually used to sing that song as a kid. But I'm sure you do enough with the show that listen, we're given a little short selection of like 3 or 4 songs to choose from. It's not like you can just go for any song that comes to mind. The hardest part for me, to be very honest with you, was watching the other songs people got to do and going, no, why did I not get to do Billy Joel night? Like I would have crushed Billy Joel night if I could have done, The Stranger instead of It's Tricky. I think I probably would have done a little better in the competition. But hey, it is what it is. How can you go up against Clay Aiken and Ruben Studdard when you're, two of the greatest singers on American television history? Singing a classic beloved ballad that everybody knows and loves versus a rap song from the 80s. I mean, I don't think there's much competition there. You know what I'm saying? But that said, it was all in good fun and I had a great time doing it. And, I think it was just more than anything, I like the adventure. I like the adventure. Life is about adventure. So you got to take chances. Sometimes you got to do things that are a bit off the beating path and a bit avant garde. And that is what I focus my time doing. So there you go. It worked out perfectly.
Did you think Jenny would know who you were? She guessed you, and then Robin sort of piggybacked on her. But did you expect?
Right.
And what is this house party you're referring to? Give us spill the gossip.
No, I kind of did. I mean, yes, I did expect her to remember, and not because we had some great intimate moment or anything like that. It was just the fact that I've known Jenny for a long time now, and I've done her shows many times. I've been on her podcast. I think she had some other show that was a TV show that she was a host on, and I came on there. So we've just done a lot of stuff together through the years. So but this was actually the first time I met her, which was at the Playboy Mansion. Of course, I had a super crush on her, but it didn't matter because I was married and she might have had a crush on me, but she was married too. So we both had to be good kids. But, it was like an after party for the Playboy Mansion, which, back in the days where we all went to the Playboy Mansion, everybody threw after parties and it was just what you did. So it was kind of like, hey, I'm throwing a party. If you want to come by with your friends, great. And she did, and she rolled up in a limousine full of like, Michael Andretti and George Maloof and all these kind of high roller power players. And I was like, wow, okay. I didn't know you were bringing all of them to my house, but that's cool. And it was, I think maybe about an hour that she was there all together. So it wasn't a huge amount of time, but we definitely had a connection and, and it made some inroads for the future. So there you go.
What were your thoughts on Seal when you first saw the character, and then how did you sort of get into that character? Because you gave him a little bit of a rock edge, even though he's sort of this cute and cuddly.
Right. I mean, I think it kind of just naturally lent itself to the situation. It was like, first of all, it's the cutest damn character or puppet mask you've ever seen in your life. And immediately when I saw it, I was like, oh my God, that is the cutest thing I've ever seen. And even the costumers were like, this is going to be probably one of the cutest outfits ever on the entire series. Like literally in the history of the show, I think this is going to be one of our most beloved characters. And I think they're right because that character was so damn cute. So I'm like, well, what can you do with a character that's so cuddly and lovable and cute? You've got to kind of give that a twist. So why not make him a little bit sassy and a little bit perverted, just a little bit off, which I think made it so much more fun for not just the kids, but the adults at home too.
It was fun.
Yeah.
Speaking of fun, I need to take a moment for myself, just being such a movie nerd, and anyone who grew up at my age grew up with your movies. I cover so much film, and it's hard when someone asks you like, "What's your favorite movie of all time?" But I always come back to Stand by Me,
Wow.
because it was just that age for me. I think when you see a movie at that age, something connects, and it's about friendship and sort of being an outcast. What was your favorite memory about that film? If it's a scene or behind the scenes, or like what does that movie mean to you?
I think what it means to me is, when you're Jewish and you turn 13, you become a man and you get bar mitzvah. That's kind of a tradition, right? We know as Jewish people. And as a woman, you become a woman, you become bat mitzvah. And so I missed my bar mitzvah that summer because I was off shooting Stand By Me. But what's very interesting about that is it was my first summer being on a set away from my parents with a set sitter, and my parents weren't there with me. So obviously, with a set sitter who was not abusive, I could get away with a lot and I could, manipulate the situation and get some freedoms that I had never had in my life. And in many ways, that lent itself to the idea that I was now becoming a man, and that becoming a man, that coming to rites of passage, transcendence of puberty, all of that sort of stuff that we grow up with in our culture was kind of playing itself out right there in real time on the set. And in fact, that is when I became vegetarian, and having the influence of River and his family there helped that happen. I mean, it started with the seedlings that were dropped into me from Michael Jackson and Steven Spielberg while working on the Goonies just a few months earlier. But going and being on my own, away from my grandparents, away from my parents, I was able to instill those idealisms and put them into play. And that's how it became interesting, was like, now for the first time I am actually living on my own, I am actually making my own decisions, and I choose to be a vegetarian because that's where I want to be, and I'm going to do that. That's my first adult decision as a man. And look, I've got the Phoenix family here and they're doing it quite successfully, and they can teach me all the tricks, and this is how it goes. So that was the coming of age for me. That was the blossoming, the growing, and even in many ways maturing on a film set and learning how to be a professional. So yeah, that moment in time was very powerful for all of us, I think.
Wow. Well, speaking of movies, there's another movie I want to ask about. It's called The Birthday. And this movie,
Yes.
I've been told, was like lost for like 20 years. It's finally being released this fall. Jordan Peele has been championing it. Talk to me about this movie. How does a movie get lost? What does that mean?
It's a brilliant story, I mean, not just the story of the film, but the story behind the film, which is, it's the most anticipated film of our lifetimes, because never before has a movie been sitting on the shelf for 20 years and then finally found its way to American cinemas via the big screen. I mean, what a heroic story, it's so romantic. But at the end of the day, that's where we're at. So this movie was lovingly made by some great artists 20 years ago in Spain. It was made with an entirely Spanish crew, entirely Spanish cast. I'm the only American entity in the film. But that said, this director is a tour de force in and of himself. He is like the Spanish answer to Quentin Tarantino. He has directed since a film called The Piano with John Cusack and Elijah Wood. Brilliant piece of cinema, which everything was basically timed out to the musical temperament. So each tone, each movement, everything in its velocity and veracity was around the structure of these great compositions of music, and that is how the film was timed. So that film shows you a statement of his artistic signature, what he brings to the table. And that was kind of an extension of what we did with The Birthday. So The Birthday is the first of its kind in a real time movie sense. And what I mean by that is the film takes place in real time. So it's a bit of an experiment in filmmaking because never before has there been a movie where my character, Norman, who's the lead character, we pick him up at the beginning of the film and we follow him consistently in real time through his 90-minute or 2-hour adventure every step along the way, so that I am in actually every shot of the film, which has never been done before. So whether it's a piece of my foot, a piece of my head, a piece of my shoulder, or a straight up close up, I'm in every shot of the film to tell this story. So you literally follow my character in real time all the way through. If I go to the bathroom, the audience goes to the bathroom. If I eat a sandwich, then the audience watches me eat a sandwich. I mean, it's just that's how the flow of the movie works. And with that, it's a dark comedy, David Lynch-esque suspense thriller in the vein of Spielberg and Richard Donner and Robert Zemeckis.
Wow. And that comes out this fall in theaters and 4K, I believe.
That's right. Well, it's in theaters. It's an 8K beautiful transfer and is going to be shown in cinemas via Alamo Drafthouse.
Wow. Okay. And then real quick before I let you go, we've got Loserville coming up with Limp Bizkit. And talk about that and the excitement.
It's low serve ill. Low serve ill. Yeah, like it's like a low serve, but yet it's gonna be ill. No, yes, it's Limp Bizkit. We're very excited to be touring with them. Fred, of course, is the mad genius behind the steering wheel of this whole thing. But it's gonna be great. We've got Riff Raff, we've got Bones, we've got Nate No Face, and then of course Limp Bizkit is the headliners. This is my first ever arena tour, so we're very excited to spread our music to the masses in a much bigger way than we have in the past. Previously, we'd been doing large theaters and things like that. Now we're doing arenas, so we're literally going from like 1,500, 2,000 seaters to like 12,000 seaters and as high up as 60,000 on this tour. So it's very exciting, a big step up for us. Even though we're the opening act, we are not the headliners. So we're only there to start things off and get the temperature set to have a good time. But I think that this tour is honestly going to be something that nobody's ever experienced before, because it's not just 4 bands or 5 bands or whatever it is on stage at various times. This is literally like an experience. It's like a happening. So there's going to be things going on in your environment surrounding you that you will not see coming, things you did not expect to see, and you'll never know if it's on purpose or if it's part of the joke. So that's kind of the fun with Low Serve Ill 24. And you can buy VIP tickets to meet and greet with me after the show of Loserville. If you go to my website at coreyfeldman.net, we have VIP tickets available right now.
All right. So much cool stuff. Who better to set the temperature for that show? Corey, so much fun seeing you perform as Seal on The Masked Singer. We look forward to these projects, and thanks for sitting down with Gold Derby today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. I appreciate you.